In the bustling heart of Manila, Philippines, life was never gentle to 6-year-old Amara. She grew up with her mother in the shadows of tall buildings, under a fragile roof made of scrap wood and old tarpaulin near the Pasig River. Every morning, while other children carried their backpacks to school, Amara carried a small tin can and her voice. She wandered through crowded streets, singing familiar Filipino folk songs with a tone so pure and haunting that strangers often stopped in their tracks. Her voice wasn't trained in music schools or guided by professional teachers. It was shaped by hunger, hardship, and the silent prayers whispered under the Manila sky each night. Her mother sold trinkets made of recycled beads while Amara sang. Their bond was unbreakable. Though poverty shadowed their every step, they found light in each other. Amara's singing wasn't just a way to earn coins, it was her way of painting hope on gray pavements, her way of surviving. People often said, "This child has something special," but the words disappeared into the noise of Manila's endless streets. One afternoon, as Amara sang outside a bustling shopping mall, fate listened carefully. A man visiting from the United States, who worked as a small-time talent scout, heard her angelic tone. The lyrics, a mixture of Tagalog and English, pierced through the chaos of jeepneys honking and vendors shouting. He was stunned. He pulled out his phone, recorded her, and thought, "This girl doesn't belong on the streets, she belongs on the world's biggest stage." Within days, her life changed direction. Her name was submitted for an audition at America's Got Talent 2025. Her mother held her tiny hands and whispered, "Anak, this is your chance. Don't be afraid. Your voice is God's gift, let the world hear it." And with that blessing, Amara's journey began, carrying not only her dream but also the hope of every child who had ever sung just to survive. The night of the audition arrived. The bright neon lights of the AGT Theater in Los Angeles stood in stark contrast to the dim lanterns of Manila's streets. Amara, dressed in a simple floral dress gifted by a Filipino community sponsor, stepped nervously onto the massive stage. She looked small under the spotlight, her tiny frame almost swallowed by the grandeur of the set. The audience murmured. Many couldn't believe such a young girl had come all the way from the Philippines to audition. Simon Cowell leaned forward, curious. His sharp eyes softened as he noticed her bare feet peeking beneath the hem of her dress. He adjusted his microphone and asked gently, "Hello, sweetheart. What's your name, and where are you from?" Amara clutched the mic with trembling hands. Her voice was soft but clear, "My name is Amara. I am 6 years old. I come from Manila, Philippines." The crowd applauded warmly, touched by her bravery. "What will you be singing for us tonight?" asked Sofia Vergara with a smile. Amara took a deep breath. "I will sing a Filipino folk-inspired song, with English words I wrote with my mom." The judge's eyebrows lifted in surprise. A 6-year-old writing lyrics with her mother? This was already special. The audience grew quiet. The silence was so deep it could be felt. Even Simon, usually skeptical of young contestants, folded his arms and whispered to Heidi, "This could be interesting." The theater lights dimmed, and the music began. Amara closed her eyes for a moment, as if remembering her nights in Manila where she sang under the open sky. And then, she began to sing. Her voice rang out like a bell, tender yet powerful. It carried across the hall, delicate but piercing. In that instant, no one saw a homeless child, they saw an artist. They saw hope in human form. From the very first note, Amara's voice wrapped the audience in silence. The melody she chose was hauntingly beautiful, blending the softness of Filipino lullabies with heartfelt English lines that spoke of dreams, hunger, and faith. Her small frame contrasted with the depth of her voice, which carried pain far beyond her 6 years, yet also radiated hope. The camera zoomed in on Simon's face. His usually skeptical expression melted into astonishment. He whispered to himself, "Unbelievable." Next to him, Heidi Klum wiped a tear from her eye, while Sophia pressed her hands together as if in prayer. Howie Mandel leaned forward, visibly moved. Every word Amara sang told a story. She sang about the nights she spent under Manila's flickering street lamps, about her mother's sacrifices, about dreaming of a better tomorrow. The lyrics weren't just performed, they were lived. The rawness in her tone reached into every heart, pulling out emotions people didn't know they carried. The audience began to tear up, some openly sobbing. In the back row, a woman whispered, "This little girl is singing the story of thousands of children." Another added, "This is not just music, it's truth." The theater felt transformed, as though time had paused, giving space for one child's soul to speak. As the final note lingered in the air, Amara's eyes remained closed. She held the microphone tightly, her chest rising and falling with emotion. For a heartbeat, the room was completely still. And then, it erupted. The audience leapt to their feet in thunderous applause, cheers echoing like waves. The judges stood too, giving her a standing ovation. Simon shook his head, smiling in disbelief. "She's only 6, he muttered, still clapping. "And she just gave one of the most emotional performances we've ever heard on this stage." Amara opened her eyes slowly, and for the first time in her young life, she saw a world that truly listened. Golden confetti wasn't falling yet, but emotions were already flooding the theater. Simon leaned closer to his mic. "Amara," he said, his voice unusually tender, "that was extraordinary. I can't believe what I just heard. Your voice carries so much emotion, it tells a story that words alone could never express." Amara looked down shyly, whispering a small, "Thank you." The crowd cheered louder, encouraging her with chants of her name. Heidi, still wiping her tears, spoke next. "You are a gift, Amara. To come from such a hard background and sing with such power, it's inspiring. You didn't just sing, you made us feel." Sophia leaned forward eagerly. "You reminded us why this show exists. It's not just about talent, it's about heart. And you, my dear, have both." Before Amara could process the words, Heidi suddenly reached across the judges' panel, smiled through her tears, and slammed her hand down on the golden buzzer. The audience gasped, then screamed with joy. Golden confetti exploded from the ceiling, showering Amara in shimmering light. She covered her face with her tiny hands, overwhelmed, as the music of triumph filled the hall. Her mother, waiting backstage, ran onto the stage, arms wide open. She embraced her daughter as the golden rain continued to fall, both of them crying with joy. Simon stood up, clapping with a rare warmth. "This is why we do this," he said to the other judges. "Sometimes, the right person comes along and reminds us that true talent has no age, no background, it just is." The crowd chanted louder, "Amara! Amara! Amara!" The 6-year-old, who once sang for coins on Manila's streets, was now standing in the middle of the world stage, covered in gold. As the last confetti fell, Amara stood hand in hand with her mother, her cheeks wet with tears but glowing with joy. The golden buzzer wasn't just a ticket to the next round, it was a ticket to a new life. For the first time, her mother dared to believe that their days of hunger and struggle might one day be behind them. Backstage, the crew, contestants, and even stagehands gathered to congratulate her. Many hugged her, saying, "You're going to change lives with your voice." Amara smiled shyly, still unsure how to carry such praise, but deep inside she felt something awaken, a confidence she had never known before. The episode aired across the globe, and within hours, Amara's performance went viral. Millions of viewers shared her story on social media. News outlets called her the Angel of Manila, and people everywhere were moved not only by her talent but by her resilience. Donations poured in to support her and her mother. For the first time, they didn't have to worry about their next meal. But more important than fame or money was the impact she created. Parents told their children about Amara to remind them of gratitude. Teachers played her song in classrooms to show the power of hope. Her story became a symbol for children across the Philippines, and the world, that no matter how humble your beginnings, your dreams can rise beyond the stars. Simon later said in an interview, "Amara is one of the purest, most emotional performers we've ever had on AGT. She reminds us that sometimes, greatness comes in the smallest packages." From the streets of Manila to the global stage, Amara had transformed, not only her own life but the hearts of millions. She wasn't just a contestant. She was a movement. And as she held her mother's hand tightly, one thing was clear: this was only the beginning.